Hello, Mike Taco.
Yeah, you look like you was having fun.
We had a rowdy bunch here.
Yeah.
So you should have been in the last hearing.
I'm the chair of our MMA.
Okay, good afternoon. Mahalo for joining today's.
Never finished.
I didn't hear a comment. Sorry.
Good afternoon. Mahalo for joining today's AEN, WLA, and EIG triple joint hearing. It's Wednesday, February 18th, and we're convened in room 224 and video conferencing, which includes the audio and video of remote participants. It's being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that this hearing is cut short, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Friday, February 20th at 3 p.m. during AEN's time slot here in room 224. And a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. Because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there'll be a 1-minute time limit for all testifiers. And so we have one item on the 3 p.m. agenda. It is SB 2371, requiring a landowner leasing ag subparcels on property used for agrivoltaics to prioritize lease offers for beginning farmers. Requires a landowner leasing ag subparcels on property used for agrivoltaics to submit an annual agrivoltaics compliance report to DAB. Authorizes DAB to penalize any landowner that fails to meet agrivoltaics requirements, and authorizes the development of solar energy facilities on ag lands with productivity ratings of B, C, or D under certain conditions. First up, we have DAB.
Thank you, Chair. Dad stands on the testimony offering comments on this measure.
Thank you, Cedric. Next is the Hawaii State Energy Office on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Monique Xanthus with the Hawaii State Energy Office. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. We stand on our written comments and I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mary Alice Evans with the OPSD.
Aloha, Chairs, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. My name is Danielle Bass from the Office of Supply and Sustainable Development. We strongly support the intent of agrivoltaics within the agricultural district. We do offer amendments. Specifically, we have some concerns regarding the prevailing regional agricultural lease rate language. We believe that this could potentially make things higher than the existing requirement of the 50% below fair market value, weakening the incentives for beginning and commercial farmers. We offer some or multiple amendments to codify agrivoltaics in the state land use law. We also provide some amendments to make sure that the 30% agricultural area be leased at the current 50% below fair market value to maintain affordability for farmers, ensuring that the lease appraisal is based solely on the agricultural portion of the site. And we also suggest strengthening the agricultural activities language to meet the state's local food production goals. I'm available for questions. Mahalo.
Thank you, Danielle. Next is Johnny Tamura from Public Utilities Commission.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chairs, members of the committee. I'm Abby Ralph with the PUC. The PUC stands for answering testimony, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, with comments. Brian Iamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bill was written testimony supporting the intent.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this matter? Come forward. Seeing none, members, are there any questions?
Question for Deb.
Deb?
So as I said, what steps have you guys taken to encourage the development of solar farms on ag lands?
Encourage.
Yeah.
Tolerate.
Any encouragement to do solar farms on ag lands? Have you guys taken any steps at all?
Encourage solar use of, if you're speaking of the 166 our ag park and non-agricultural park land.
No, I'm speaking in regards to this bill with the agrivoltaics. Like,
Yeah.
so in this case, have you guys taken any steps to encourage solar farms on your guys' ag lands?
No.
What is the level of interest and demand for solar farm development in Hawaii?
Solar farm development just in general by
In
farmers?
general, because,
Oh.
people are moving into ag, solar farms and so forth.
I don't know what the.
None whatsoever. Wow. Okay, thank you.
Senator, I'll get back to you with that question.
So you believe there's many beginning farmers going to take advantage of farming on these lands with agrivoltaics?
It'd be pretty hard for a beginning farmer not knowing what the conditions are.
Yeah.
There would have to be kind of perfect information given to the beginning farmer.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there will be limitations on operations and, time of the day and dust and all that kind of stuff that he or she may not be fully aware of.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So, are there, do you guys at DAD anticipate any increased enforcement workload for the counties?
For solar, with respect to solar.
Sometimes you do this, really, yeah.
Yeah, solar energy, well, no, not really. The approval process, the special permit process, all those, the conditions of approval are pretty much taken care of by
But
the.
as far as enforcement of if this bill
Enforcement?
passes?
No.
Okay. All right. Senator
The
Bell?
the question I have, did you guys visit any of them that is doing farming and for forte?
The only one that I personally visited is the one, was that Clearway along in the southern part of Mililani, south of Mililani town.
Yeah,
There's like a peninsula. One
And
side
there's-
is Wasawara, and the other side is the solar energy facility, where they've been undertaking the I guess, agrivoltaic experiments, testing along with the Hawaii Agricultural Research Center. Yes, so I've visited that.
so by having one template like that, going forward with what Senator Tikoy said, not thinking that should have some kind of, I say incentive, because we're talking about 50% lower on the rent, giving them an incentive to grow the farming and then, of course, the energy situation. I was always against all the solar farms until I visit that farm, and they were supposed to expand to Kunia. So I don't know if they did because of financial situation, but I think that's something that not just you guys, but even us guys here should encourage more, because I seen it, it really, really works well. They also have sheep, and the best part about the sheep is that they eat all the junk stuff like that underneath, so that they don't need to go clean them underneath, underneath the area. So I seen the mixed use of them growing not only vegetables and stuff that we eat, but even like miley, which is hard to get miley, right? They had an area that was cool enough that was actually growing miley. So those are ideas for moving forward. I mean, to me, I think that was like a template. So it's something that I guess not only you guys, but even us should encourage more of that. Even like what Senator Gabbard said with the early farmers, even though they don't know the condition, they can probably visit there, and they have multiple conditions that they talk about that is challenging what is working, what kind of crops they can plant, and they have a area that they're doing that, so that they know what's going to grow when they move their production elsewhere. So there's something just to consider. I mean, not mandatory, but just to consider to have encouragement. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question for Farm Bureau.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, so, I know you guys have a lot of members under Farm Bureau. How many of your members do solar as well as crops on property? Because I noticed that this bill is for beginning farmers.
Thank you, Senator. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau. I don't know the exact number of how many of the farms are taking advantage of this, of solar primarily. Our concern, or one of the concerns I think that we had in our testimony, is the beginning farmer provision, that they get priority. We like to see all farmers. Again, we want to encourage new and beginning farmers, but for something like this, as I think has been previously discussed, doing agrivoltaics is challenging. If it wasn't, we'd have a lot more. The parcel that's been referenced is actually a pilot, and it's a pilot because we're investigating whether or not it's possible. The one in Mililani. The agriculture that we currently see majority with solar is sheep. And again, it's more of rotational sheep grazing versus what we believe is true agriculture. We don't see that sheep really in commercial production where it's
We could utilize the
we've
sheep
been
as
utilizing that. It's something that, in discussions with the solar industry, is something that we'd like to see. We support renewable energy,
So
we
Brian,
support
how long will
agrivoltaics.
pilot program last, if we're going to reference Mililani?
I think, Senator, I think it's been going on for several years. We visited several times. We take people out. It is promising. It's something that we'd love to see, utilizing the ag land for food production of the ag production and for renewable energy. Again, it is difficult. I think if it wasn't, we'd probably see it in larger scale. And so I think, working with HARC, I think working with the university and working with, I think it is Clearway, trying to see if it is practical for a larger scale. And that is the goal that we'd all like to see. We'd love to see dual uses on our ag land. Right now, it is, our understanding is still in a pilot phase because it is very challenging. They're competing for the same resources.
So my question was, how long does a pilot usually last?
I don't know if I can answer that correctly. The pilot is I believe, designed for a short period of time or time certain to see if something is practical or not.
Thank you, Chair.
Senator Richard?
Yeah, stay where you are, Brian. I've puzzled on this for a while for agriculture and agrivoltaics. Reason being is because the photovoltaic is competing for sunshine, which is what agriculture is also competing. I completely agree with the sheep grazing and taking care of underbrush and helps fire control and all that. That works out fine. Has the Farm Bureau looked at this from a national perspective and evaluated, because we're going to have a reduce in production because we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, meaning we're using the sun for energy instead of agriculture. Have we looked at that? Because I've wondered about the metrics that we're talking about here for leases. Do you know of any work that's been done to evaluate reduction in agriculture productivity because of that?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And that's what I meant by competing for the same resources, not just the land, but the solar energy and
Right.
even water. People don't know, but solar does take a little bit of water, not a lot of water. And again, that's why agricultural land is so desirable, because it has the features that the solar energy industry wants, right? Mostly flat, access to some infrastructure, basic infrastructure, including water. To answer the question, I think there are others probably better suited, Senator. As I referenced, Hawaii Agriculture Research Center is partnering, and they may have done some of that research or have some of that data for you. I can follow up with your office or with the chair's office on that question, Senator.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And if we could get it to the chairs, because this will be a recurrent question as we go forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay.
I have a question for OPSD, please. Thank you for being here and offering comments. Land Use Commission, does any of this particular land areas go to the Land Use Commission?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, the LUC did not testify on this measure. We did coordinate with them, and yes, this is codified in the State Land Use Commission's law, where these proposals for solar energy facilities on ag lands, for lands that are on B or C, go before the State Land Use Commission with the special use permit process for the counties to review. And so what this bill does in, I believe, page 16 is it does open that up to D lands as well, which is, it actually doesn't go through the Land Use Commission process since there's no special permit required.
Again, can you repeat that?
So for B and C lands, it does
Correct.
go through the Land Use Commission
That
process.
I've always known that.
But now that with this bill's language opening it up to D lands, that
Okay.
does not go to the Land Use Commission.
And no matter how many acres? So
That is my
complete-
understanding after consulting with the staff there yesterday, yes. So this provision will now open up D to go to the Land Use Commission with a special permit review.
It does or it doesn't?
It will, this provision in the
Yeah,
bill.
oh, okay.
Yes.
On the D lands?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, chairs.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we're going to go right into decision-making on this measure.
Oh, wait, excuse me. Excuse me. They need me to go vote.
Can we?
There's a
we're
vote
doing this
being
right
done
now.
now, so I'll be right down to public safety.
So the chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure with DAB's suggested amendments that protect agricultural integrity, and also with OPSD suggested amendments that clarify implementation. Any discussion? Chair?
You know, I agree with that, but what I would like to see that it be open up to all farmers, not just beginning farmers, Chair.
Okay. So with that, for AEN, chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
On Senate Bill 2371, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoite?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes? Senator Awa? Senator Awa is excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members.
Committee on Water and Land, same recommendation. There's no discussion. Vice Chair for the vote.
With amendments.
Let's put the minutes, right? Yes.
For the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts, chair's recommendation on SB 2371 is to pass with amendments. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator Lamusao. Is she, she's not here, I can't see. Senator DeCourt. Measure is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. For members of EIG, same recommendation. Any discussion? If not, Senator Chang, I vote yes.
Chair's recommendation for Senate Bill 2371 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes yes, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoite?
Aye.
Senator Richards?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. That concludes the 3 o'clock agenda. Okay, folks, we are gaveling in the 301 agenda with AEN, Water, Land, and EDT. We have one measure on the agenda, SB 2800, appropriating funds to DAB and DLNR and ADC to acquire, repair, and maintain irrigation systems in the state. First up is DLNR.
Good afternoon, the department has our written testimony in support of the bill.
Thank you. Next is DAB.
Thank you, Chair. Dan stands on the truth and testimony in support of this measure.
Thank you. Wendy Gady from ADC.
Thank you, Chair. ADC stands on their written testimony of strong support.
Thank you. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau stand on its written testimony in support.
Thank you. We also have Larry Jeffs from Larry Jeffs Farm, Johnny May Perry, Michael Jaubert, Daniel Nels, Veronica Moore, all in support. That's 9 in support, none opposed, anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Are there any questions, members?
Question.
Senator
Dab? Hey, thanks for being here. So, based on the bill goes into funds to the Department of Ag, and Biosecurity, Department of Land, Natural Resources, and Agribusiness Development Corporation. Based on your irrigation systems and the repairs and everything going forward, do you guys have any concerns about how much of the fund will be needed to do repairs and maintenance on your systems throughout the state? And are you guys agreeing that it be divvied up for four ways of the different agencies, or how's this hierarchy working in this bill? Or is this a toss-up of, we're just divvying these funds up 4 different ways between the departments? Because I'm well aware of the deterioration of all your water systems that helps farms, and which way we pulling what. As you guys know, ADC also controls water systems, so I'm torn between this bill on how we divvying this thing up to help the farmers have adequate water. As you know, water cutbacks within your systems and everybody else's goes into effect that impacts farms across the state of Hawaii.
Each of the agencies that are mentioned in the bill have, I don't want to speak for like EDC or
Speak on, okay, then do me a favor, speak on your behalf and tell me what damages and repairs is needed on your irrigation systems.
So we do have a whole litany of things that need repairs. We need, for instance, Molokai irrigation systems. I think we've identified about $7.5 million worth of repairs on that system. That's rather important. We have some additional repairs for our Kahuku system. It needs new motor controls of the pump house and pump house repairs, possibly a new tank, maybe a larger one. We always run out of water on that one.
And Paguilo.
Yeah. Paguilo, Big Island has a whole list of things also. So we definitely have a backlog of irrigation projects that we could definitely use the money for.
So Brian, as you read the bill, how would you prioritize the use of these funds? Because I know with ADC and some of the transfers, I'm just trying to figure out, is these funds adequate to be sufficient so that we continue to grow food and double food production across the US and do our farm to schools and so forth? Does this bill, does it put more of a heavier burden on how we divvy up with DAB, ADC, and the different DLNR? I mean, how do we break out? We can prioritize food, we can prioritize ranching, we can prioritize conservation lands on the water system, like watersheds. I just.
Well, we don't, from a CIP perspective, we don't prioritize any of our development things. For the appropriated amount listed in the bill,
that would probably only be enough to cover the systems you gotta repair and do maintenance on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I know we're running out of time, but thank you. That's all I needed to say, because I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna need for the rest of them. Sorry, Chair. I'm just trying to get better understanding.
Okay, just a real quick question, and it's going to be for everybody. Department of Ag, ADC, and DLNR. You guys are up first. What Senator DeCoite's talking about, what number do you need for DAB to fix your irrigation systems? Give me a round number right now. I'm looking at you, Brian.
Let's see. We're in our testimony here, we're looking at an additional, I think 13 million on top of that for certain projects. In addition to that, it's probably, I would guess, probably closer to 65 million or so.
Okay, 65 for DAB. ADC and DLNR, I need a number. Thank you.
Can I add, Chair, to that as well? I noticed that on page 2, on section 2.
Hang on a second, Senator, let me finish my
Yeah.
question.
There's also
DLNR.
the funds separated.
Senator Richards. DLNR, we don't have an exact number, but we don't have.
I don't expect an exact
Yeah,
number.
the 14 mil is gonna be enough to at least get us,
That's not what I asked. I asked what to fix.
I understand what you're asking. I'm gonna have to get back to you with the number because
Okay.
again, right, we have a couple things up in the air, so I need to redo the numbers actually right now.
Okay, but to fix stuff, not just put Band-Aids, fix it. One-time pow.
We're actually in the process of transferring our stuff, which is why I don't have an answer for
Okay,
you.
so if you can get that and get it back to the chairs, please,
Will do.
okay?
Yes.
And then finally, ADC.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. We're in the process of 5 different acquisitions right now, so I would like to get back to you with an estimate based on adding those to our inventory.
Okay, great. But we would like that in a very short timeline.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, sorry, Wendy, without the acquisition, in regards to Senator Richards' question, what you have now, what does it take? What is the price tag? I don't want you to count the acquisition right now.
Based on the water systems that we have, which would be the Waihole water system here on Oahu, it would be the Keikaha and Kokei systems that are on Kauai. That would be in the neighborhood of about 35 million, just for those 3. And the biggest portion would be actually putting pipe into the Keikaha system.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
DLNR? Yes. This bill on page 2 with the appropriation amounts that's identified in the measure, that for your agency, you have $14 million. Now, do you know what the cost would be for the Waipahu, the acquisition? Are you folks already managing the irrigation system we talked about was it Waipahu or Waihua on the dual lands?
No, we're in the process of that right now.
Okay, so we haven't done anything. Do you know, that's going to be under your Kuleana, yeah?
So,
DLNR.
yes, so we are going to acquire the Lake Wilson parcels for that. Our current irrigation systems on the other islands, right? Again, we're in the process of transferring some of those already to ADC. So we haven't accounted for those in terms of cost for fixing because we're gonna turn them over as is. This money would help us with the Wahiwa.
The 14 mil?
Yes.
Okay, what are you transferring to other agencies?
So
on
we
these
have the
islands?
East Kauai irrigation system on Kauai that's currently in the works and trying to get to ADC.
That's going to ADC?
Correct.
Correct.
We have Lower Kapahi, which we're actually doing we're finishing the design to breach that particular one.
Okay.
And that one is also, most of our dams are on Kauai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing on the Big Island that I.
We have 2 on the Big Island, but one is actually a flood control project by the county. And the other one is it belongs to us, but it's under our P2 Olson Trust. They are the only ones who can actually access the reservoir. for that
Okay,
one.
so it seems like DLNR is the only agency, you'll be comfortable with your Section 3, with your 14
Correct.
million for now. Nonetheless, the ones who are shortfall would be ADC and DOE then,
I believe so.
according to what we're hearing today. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, chairs.
Okay. All right, decision making, you guys okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, we're going to move into decision making now on this measure. Chairs having conferred, we're going to pass this with amendments to defer the date to July 1st, 2050, and blank the appropriation amounts in the bill and insert them into the committee report for consideration. We want to further note that DAB's requested appropriation of $43,800,000 for the acquisition, maintenance, and repair of irrigation systems, and ADC's requested appropriation of $2.5 million for the acquisition, maintenance, and repair of irrigation systems in the state, both of which will be included in the committee report for consideration. Okay? So for AEN?
Chair, good discussion.
Yes.
So, Chair, based on the line of questioning today, I would like the committee report to reflect DOA 65 million on repair and maintenance, as well as DLNR's 14 million and ADC's 35 million in that report.
Okay.
Please.
So based on that, Chair, for AEN, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair.
On Senate Bill 2800, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoite?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Awa is excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you, members. And for Waterland?
Committee on Water Land, same recommendation.
Chair's recommendation for the Committee on Water, Land, Culture, and the Arts on SB 2800 is to pass with amendments with, let's see, we've got 3 members. Oh, okay. Roll call. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Okay, Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator Lamusau.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Decord. Motion is adopted, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Committee on Economic Development and Tourism, same recommendation. Vice Chair Akai for the vote, chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga, excuse Senator Kim, excuse Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, members, and that adjourns. Calling to order the 302 agenda for AEN and GVO. Here in room 224, we have one item on the agenda, SB 2718, relating to the Food Hub Pilot Program beginning January 1st, 2028. DOE, DOH, Department of Corrections and Rehab, Department of Defense, and UH to ensure that 30% of the produce purchased by that department consists of fresh local ag products or local value-added processed ag or food products. Requires the Department of Ag and Biosecurity to develop a nutrition and INA-based program for integration into public school curricula, and requires DAB to partner with a regional aggregator to support the aggregation and processing of native Hawaiian staple crops, facilitate procurement pipelines, and expand access to native Hawaiian crops. Okay, so first up on 2718 is DAB.
Thank you, Chair. Dad stands on this written testimony in support of this measure.
Thank you,
Here for any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Next is Department of Health.
Department of Health will stand on this written testimony.
Comments, okay. Tommy Johnson from Department of Corrections and Rehab.
Frank Young standing in for Director Johnson, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We stand on our written testimony in opposition of the bill.
Thank you. Keith Hayashi from DOE on Zoom.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Offers comments, Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bill will stand on its written testimony supporting the intent.
Okay. Carlin McFadden from the Hawaii Food and Plus Policy, Purple Maya Foundation. Support. Ann Frederick from HAPA, Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Actions and Support. Kalani Nui Wilson in support. So we have a total of 11 in support, 1 opposed, and 3 have comments. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? Yes.
Corrections?
Good afternoon.
State your name. Just for the
Frank Young, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Okay. You came out opposed to this. Can you walk me through why you're opposed?
Well, based on our testimony, we're struggling to meet the current percentage, I believe at 10%. Upping up to 30 in a couple of years, I just see a steeper path for us to comply with that.
And for you, what is the obstruction? Where are barriers to get this in?
Primarily, it's the procurement process, and then the quantities of the types of foods we're currently using in our meals, things like potatoes, carrots, celery, those kind of things, those items.
So, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, that's why I'm asking you to explain it. It's the availability and the procurement process to get the product. If it was readily available, did you have any issue with that?
Oh, not at all. We would
Okay.
support local.
Okay, so it's not about local, it's about being able to get through the paperwork and the availability.
The quantities, yes, that we use on a daily basis.
Okay, all right, thank you, Chair.
Question, Chair.
Senator McKelvey?
Okay, how does the procurement process itself prevent you from doing this? You seem to say the process keeps us from doing this. How is this process of procurement, which every agency uses, keeping you from doing this?
There's basically the lowest cost vendors that we need to procure with, and the fact that I think some of the more local, smaller farms just don't have the quantities.
But that's not a procurement process issue. The farmer's not having the quantities isn't the, but see what I'm saying?
Yep.
We're trying to
Correct.
track down the real roadblocks if we keep saying it's this code, this process, it's causing it. But it's not, it's just the fact that we have a supply problem, right? We have a farmer supply issue.
Yes.
Right? Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
So,
Okay, yeah.
has food safety in any way hindered some of these farmers that you're not able to purchase from them to meet that?
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, so you guys have to deal with the food safety stuff?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Really? Wow. Okay. Okay, Dab, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Cedric, as of today, do you guys have enough local suppliers to meet the requirement that 30% of the produce purchased by the 5 departments consist of fresh local ag products or local value-added processed ag by January 1st of 2020?
Chair, I don't have that answer on me, unfortunately, but I know someone who might.
I think so, too.
Brian.
Brian.
He wants to come save the day.
Brian, same question.
Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau. I think it's very difficult to answer the question, Senator, without knowing the exact purchasing for each of these departments. But I think anecdotally, with more programs which we're supporting, there's more competition for the limited supply of local that we have. And that's why the Farm Bureau, along with DAB and other partners, come to you folks for positive agriculture policies in order to increase scale. That's something that we're working on. I believe right now DOE is only at 6.4%. So we do agree with public safety. We support the intent. I think our concern is moving up that benchmark from 2030 to 2028 at 30%. DOE is already at 30%, 30 by 30 is their goal. So I think we're gonna have to change even another statute if this bill is going to pass, because we're trying to align all the goals. Moving up 2 years may not offer us the opportunity that the industry is working on with the legislature to increase scale so that we can meet the demand of these programs, farm to school. This one, I believe, is we refer to as farm to state. So again, not knowing what each department is purchasing, but even understanding what 30% of their purchasing would look like, it's hard to determine, but from a production standpoint, Senator, we do know that we need more land, we need more water to produce more, because the farmers that are producing now, they already have their markets. And we're unsure if they're gonna be willing to move their markets, be it to restaurants, hotels, supermarkets, farmers markets, to these different programs. So what we're trying to do is increase scale, have small farmers become medium-sized farmers become large farmers become
So Brian.
bigger farmers and new farmers.
So I get that, most of these guys either have their markets already, which some are under contract that they have to supply. So the add-on of trying to supply the different departments, so I'll throw the question to you. Isn't most of these departments, before they can accept that food, have to be food safety certified? And is it a challenge for the smaller farmers to still meet food safety certification to then do business via one hub or a cooperative that would be on pass-through to get more product to meet that 30% demand?
The first question, Senator, as far as food safety certification, our understanding, working with state agencies, that's their normal practice to prevent or to minimize the risk. So a lot of times they'll be working with distributors who have food safety certification and also may require it from the farmers or the food hubs or the aggregators. And that's why you yourself, Senator, has pushed forward legislation to help the small farmers, because it is a challenge to achieve certain food safety certification levels. And your second question, I'm sorry, Senator.
So my second question was on receiving of the, so now there's all these small farms, would those small farms put together be able to help attain the goal of 30%?
Yes, Senator, we believe so, and that's why we are supportive of the food hub programs, because they act as aggregators mostly for small farms. So they'll help the small farms as far as with aggregation, with food safety certifications, with distribution, and allow the small farms to kind of focus on the farm side. So we believe they can contribute to helping achieve some of these agriculture goals that we have.
Because I noticed it also allows for the value added, yeah, which would help, I think, get to that 30% goal.
Absolutely, and that's why we're encouraged with value added being included in these percentage goals.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Sure, take a brief recess. Okay, reconvening the 3:02 PM joint with AEN and GVO. Chairs having conferred, the decision will be to pass with amendments that are incorporating the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Actions. I'll start again. Pass with amendments incorporating the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Actions suggested amendments to streamline the measure, remove barriers, and provide flexible support for food hubs. We'll also make some technical amendments, including deferring the date to July 1st, 2050. I'm going to blank the appropriation amount and insert it in the committee report for consideration. Any discussion with AEN? Chair votes aye, Vice Chair.
On Senate Bill 2718, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Owa is excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you, members.
Okay, Committee on Government Operations, same recommendation, Senate Draft 1, I vote yes.
On SB 2718 for GVO, Chair votes yes, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Hashimoto? Aye. Senator Moriwaki is excused. Senator Owa is excused. The measure is adopted. Thank you, and that concludes the Okay, we are gaveling in the 305 AEN deferred agenda. First up is Senate Bill 2374, establishing a Blue Economy Working Group to study how to develop and support marine-based economic activities that align with the state's decarbonization and restorative food production goals. And
It's the decision-making one, sorry. And then we go, yeah.
so on this one here, it's just decision-making on 2374. Let's see here. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with an amendment to defer the date to July 1st, 2050. So we're going on to WHAM. EDT will be making they're having their hearing tomorrow on this first. Any questions? Chair votes aye, Vice Chair.
On 2374, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Owa? Senator Owa. Excuse. Senator Rhodes? Aye.
And then,
Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion is adopted.
and then,
Thank you, members.
Committee on Economic Development and Tourism will be deferring decision-making to February 18, 2026 at 3:05 PM in room 229.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on to SB 2760. Relating to invasive species, clarifying the importation of any item or material infested or infected with an insect or other animal, disease, or pest is prohibited.
Sorry, I gotta go back. Yeah, it's February, not 18, what is tomorrow? 19, sorry. Back to Senate Bill 237 for deferring to February 19 at 3:05. No, not 3:05. 1:05, sorry. Deferring to 1:05 on February 19, room 229. February 19th, 2026.
EDT, thank you.
EDT, thank you.
For the clarification. And so on SB 2760, the chair's recommendation would be to insert the language under section 6 in the bill to add, and I quote, "Notwithstanding any provision of the Hawaii administrative rules relating to clean air, such rules are suspended to the extent necessary to permit biosecurity quarantine treatments," unquote, as well as make technical amendments, including defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
On Senate Bill 2760, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Reservations.
And Senator Awaz excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor.
Thank you, members. And then moving on to SB 2741, phasing in exemptions of locally produced produce food from the general excise tax. So the chair's recommendation on this one, it looks like the GET exemption is limited to locally produced food. It raises constitutional concerns with the Commerce Clause. So we'd like to amend the measure to delete the existing general excise tax exemption for locally produced food and instead establish a general excise tax exemption for agricultural inputs used in commercial ag production to address tax pyramiding and improve the competitiveness of Hawaii farmers. We'd also like to make technical amendments as well as defer the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion?
Chair, real
Yes.
quick. I appreciate the work that Chair has done on this to move this forward. We're talking about cost of living, and any way we can start whittling away at cutting down the cost of living. So I agree, rather than deferring the bill, we just figure out how we can make it work, and that'll help the community going forward. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
On SB 2741, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Awaz excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Okay, and that concludes the 305 agenda. Okay, calling into order the 315 agenda for AEN. Let's see, starting off with SB 2941, relating to disposable body boards, prohibits the sale, rental, or distribution of disposable body boards in the state and establishes penalties. First, we have 3 in support, 0 opposed. Anyone here wishing to testify on this measure or online? Okay. Let's move on to the next measure. SB 2712 relating to hemp, establishing the Hawaii Hemp Fiber Special Fund, establishing the hemp paper packaging pilot program, and establishing the industrial hemp license surcharge. Excuse me. Okay, first up is Attorney General on Zoom,
Not on Zoom, Chair.
in person. Oh, boy.
Good afternoon, Deputy Attorney General Travis Moon. We submitted our testimony with our written comments. I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Next is Dab.
Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee, I'm Jun Tulio. The DAB supports the intent of this measure, but we offer comments and we stand by our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, June. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. Hawaii Farm Bill's got no written testimony in support.
Thank you. Robert Bentz on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee, Robert Benz, member of the Hemp Task Force. I have submitted written testimony with amendments. Unfortunately, this bill adds fees and regulations that would make it impossible, and it's narrowly focused on a economically unfeasible method. The expanding it to all industrial hemp, grant priority to hemp farmers who have grown in the state successfully, completed at least one prior to 2025. And the big part of that in get the grant to the ag department, not in June's department. June is not capable of following this program. Big problems with June.
Robert, your time's up. Thank you very much, Robert. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? Okay, on this measure, we have 6 in support, 0 opposed, and 2 with comments. These 2 and 12, okay. Moving on to 2576. Prohibits persons being prosecuted for or convicted of the crime of criminal trespass on ag land from owning, possessing, or controlling a firearm or ammunition. Let's see. First up is Haley Chang from the Office of the Public Defender. They are opposed. On Zoom, Godfrey Akaka from the Native Hawaiian Gathering Rights Association.
Aloha. We support this bill. There's been a lot of misunderstanding about Native gathering rights, and in my written testimony, I kind of explain how we need to be respectful of boundaries. Just the other week, we had in our homestead, hunters poaching and shooting towards our uncle them right next to us, and they almost got shot because the poachers were shooting deer into somebody else's farm. So it's an issue all over. Currently, my partner and I, we're also outfitting, leasing properties. We're getting major issues. We were getting shot at. My wife, my grandkids, we're getting shot at from poachers. We had 3 arrests already. They got convicted. The problem is, right now, the conviction was they're supposed to owe $3,500 to us. The prosecutor told us that it's out of his hands. It's out of his hands, so we cannot. There's no.
Your time's up, Godfrey. Thank you very much for your testimony.
I'm available for questions.
Okay, thanks. Next is Nicole Galassi from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council on Zoom.
Thank you, Chair Gabbard, Vice Chair Richards. The Hawaii Cattlemen's Council submitted testimony in support of this measure because stronger measures are needed to deter trespassers and poachers. Many might think it's not an issue on big parcels of land, but put yourself in the boots of ranchers and farmers who are out there every day, often solo and running into armed poachers. This continues to be a danger for our members, both men, women, young, and old. So we're asking for help in deterring disrespectful trespassers who put the food producers at risk of harm. Mahalo.
Thank you, Nicole. Next is Jerry Ewan with the Pu'uloa Rifle and Pistol Club on Zoom.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, he's in opposition. Andrew Namiki Roberts from the Hawaii Firearms Coalition on Zoom.
Also not on Zoom, Chair.
Also opposed. Jason Wolford on Zoom.
Also not on Zoom, Chair.
Opposed. Michael Rice on Zoom.
Aloha, Senator. Mike Rice, speaking in opposition to this bill. There seems to be a misunderstanding about this, is that this would criminalize the misdemeanor level of this trespassing bill, which would be like it would, like if you simply went on a farmer's property, this is what it would fall under. If you have a gun already, or if you're illegally hunting with a dangerous implement, that's already a felony under the current law. So I'm not sure what that miscommunication is, but this would mean like if a hiker unarmed went onto somebody's property, they would now be essentially charged with a felony, even though it's a misdemeanor. They'd be prevented from purchasing a firearm or even possessing such. Like I can understand a lot of the concerns. Cranston PO is down the road from me. But that doesn't change that the man who killed him, if I can use that word correctly, would not have applied to this law. He was armed illegally.
Mike, your time's up. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Clayton Kubo on Zoom.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
In support. Let's see. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Department will stand on its written testimony in support.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? There are 81 opposed, 12 in support, 0 comments. Members, are there any questions?
Question for Rita? No, police department. Anyways, no, nobody from the police. That's okay, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, no police department.
All right, moving on to SB 2112. Beginning January 27th, bans the manufacture, sale, offer of sale, or distribution in the state of any food that contains petroleum-based synthetic food dyes and synthetic chemical additives. Okay. 2012. First up is Department of Health.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Matt Cronin, Department of Health, Department of Health Services. We stand on our written testimony and comment available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Gardner on Zoom, National Confectioners Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. Jennifer Gardner on behalf of the National Confectioners Association. NCA supports a strong food safety system, but we respectfully oppose Senate Bill 2112 as it would contribute to an unworkable patchwork of state ingredient restrictions. It's critical for confectioners to be able to rely on a unified federal standard administered by FDA. With Hawaii importing between 85 and 90% of its food, differing state restrictions would impact thousands of products, disrupt supply chains, and increase costs for consumers who already pay roughly 33% more for groceries than the national average. FDA has accelerated its review of food and color additives, and manufacturers are already reformulating products. New state-specific restrictions during this process would only complicate and impede these efforts. Additional information is in our written testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next is Lauren Zerbo from Hawaii Food Industry Association.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, in person. Good to see you
Yes.
guys. We submitted testimony in opposition primarily due to the fact that we would suggest using the federal regulatory agency to handle this type of thing. Having a patchwork of different regulations across each state, especially for our state, which is remote and rather small, creates a lot of implementation issues for retailers, distributors, and can create issues with even getting certain types of products. There is a lot of movement at the federal level right now. We included in our testimony a link to several of these that are currently being banned at the federal level, so we don't think it is necessary for the state to pursue separate action. Also, it is extremely costly to do the testing necessary to implement this. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Lauren. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? Okay, hearing none, we shall go into decision-making.
Chair?
Yes.
Before we do, can we have a little discussion about the relating to trespass bill?
Yes.
The gun bill?
Yes.
So is I understand that there's some concerns about whether the person is armed or not if they come onto the property. It doesn't seem like it would be a stretch to say if someone is convicted of criminal trespassing while bearing a firearm, that would hold up better in terms of the legalities of it if you wanted to move something ahead. I don't know if you don't want to, that you don't want to, it's your okay. But I think that would stand a better chance than having just somebody trespassing who's, just using a walking stick or something, for what it's worth.
Okay.
See, I again, I have the same issue. We've dealt with many trespassing, and basically it's asking that, you abide by the law, you ask before you go, but you are arriving there in a trespassing capacity, knowingly that you do not have the permission to enter into a property to try and avoid. And, at this point, we don't have the departments to ask these questions to at this time, which makes it really difficult. I would hope that you would entertain the idea of at least trying to move it and have better discussion with these departments that is looking at basically, we're not addressing the situation at hand. This is not an anti-gun bill. It's about doing what is right. And those of us that have supported ag, the fear between farms and ranches is that now an admirable profession of growing food in the state of Hawaii has now become protecting yourself and arming yourself from people shooting shots via ranches without having the consideration and respect of asking these landowners that maybe because there's employees that could possibly be shot in the process of working these farms and ranches are now being put in the forefront of now trying to protect yourself while you're trying to produce food. And this will be in regards to whether on small farm or big farm. And these people are really afraid that one day they're going to have to go to the family and say, by the way, your husband was shot due to a stray bullet because people decided to come in there and trespass. So I am asking for your consideration that we have continued a discussion so that we can have a better conversation. At the end of the day, this bill will come back to you in a conference committee, Chair, and that's my request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, I'll weigh in on this a little bit. Reading the bill, I completely understand why it was written. Again, safety in the workplace, specific in agriculture. That being said, I do understand the concern of just trespassing without a firearm. And Senator Rhodes brought up an interesting question about if it is with a firearm and you're illegal already, there may be some merit there. I do agree with the concerns of doing something if they just accidentally trespass. And so I completely support that reasoning on that. But more importantly, the fact that this is triggering the conversation because people in agriculture are concerned for their safety. I can recount story after story after story about illegal trespassing with firearms, and that is a big concern. So I do not support this bill the way it is, but I'm open for conversation. So I appreciate that, Senator Rhodes, for what you proposed, but I fully support the direction we're headed right now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go. Okay, on SB 2941, we'll go right into decision-making here now. Is the prohibiting the sale and rental distribution of disposable body boards. I was made aware that the county of Kauai has already passed, they're already banning disposable body boards as of December of last year. And I would like to recommend that we follow suit and pass this measure as is. Any discussion? Senator Richards. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair.
On Senate Bill 2941, passing unamended, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Awa is excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. And then moving on to SB 2712. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments incorporating the AG's office suggested amendments that establishes required grant standards and correct technical drafting issues, as well as the Hawaii Sustainable Farms suggested amendments to expand eligible hemp uses, prioritize USDA compliant growers, and remove surcharges and additional regulatory burdens. We'll also make technical amendments and include deferring the date to July 1st, 2050, blank the appropriation amount, and insert into the committee report for consideration. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On Senate Bill 2712, passing with amendments of the members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
And Pam Perret, thank you, members. SB 2576, relating to trespass. So while I hear what you're saying, Senator DeCoy, and appreciate the input of the committee members, the fact is, as you well know, we are out of time. And I would like to, in terms of this session, we're going to be deferring this bill indefinitely. So we'll have to pick up that conversation next session. And then on SB 2112, it's related to petroleum-based food dyes. I'd like to pass this one with amendments incorporating the Animal Health Institute's suggested amendments to clarify that the measure applies only to food for human consumption, and will also note in the committee report the Department of Health's funding and position appropriation request for consideration. Any discussion?
Chair?
Yes.
Though I fully appreciate the direction we're headed with our nutrition, I cannot ignore the industry's concerns as we're transitioning over. So I'll support it, but I'm going to be supporting it with reservations.
Okay. So with that, chair votes aye. Vice chair?
Of the members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Reservations. Reservations for Senator Rhodes and Senator DeCoy and Senator Richards. Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Okay, thank you, members, and that concludes the 3:15 agenda. Hello and welcome to the 4:15 hearing of joint AEN and EDU. We have 2 measures on the agenda. First up is SB 2706, related to workforce development, establishes a 5-year ag and biosecurity workforce development pilot program within DAB in collaboration with UHSD with Community College and Department of Human Resources Development. First up is DAB.
Chaired by Sharon with the committee, which I know have that culture support.
Thank you, John. Rena Hashimoto from Department of Human Resources Development. Comments on Zoom. Kahe Dupalo. UH on Zoom?
Not on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, and then Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bill was down on its written testimony in support.
Okay, anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing none, members, any questions?
Quick one for Deb. For the record, identify yourself.
Jonathan Hill, Plant Quarantine Branch Manager.
Okay, thanks. There's been so many different things to try to get you guys more people coming through the pipeline. There's been talk about reducing qualifications and all that. How do you see this benefiting you?
Yes, so the goal is to have, I think, like an intermediary workforce to the extent of, so the biosecurity inspectors are all Bachelor of Science 4-year degree positions. So there's a lot of work that can be done at the Unit 3 level. So what we're trying to create is another series in conjunction with this to have a higher paying series, because so the series that we have right now, it caps at like a 13. So it's not really a livable wage, unfortunately. So it's really hard to get folks into the work and stay. Yeah. So then the goal is for this is, right, you have this pipeline that you can use as we get a lot of vacancies, and then have folks that are well-trained, high qualified, they know what the work is and what the expectations are, and then we get them right into the workforce and to do
So
the
that
work
can
that's necessary.
become career as
Yes,
opposed to.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Chair, turn it over to you.
Okay. We are on Senate Bill 2320, relating to agriculture, establishes the Kuleana Ag Tech Pathways Pilot Program to create career pipelines in the fields of agriculture and agricultural technology. It requires the University of Hawaii to collaborate with the Department of Education on ag and biosecurity agri-development business. We have a number of members testifying. First of all, Keith Hayashi from Education DOE. Okay, he was in our hearing earlier. Wendy Grady, O'Grady, not here. That's for agribusiness and support. Hawaii Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. Okay, and then Brian Miyamoto from.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on this written testimony in support.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Please. Please identify yourself.
Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and the committees. My name is Carlin McFadden. I'm testifying on behalf of Hawaii Food Plus Policy. I actually was the author of the Kuleana Ag Tech Pathways proposal that I sent to you, Mike Gabbard. So thank you so much for hearing this proposal. And I just want to testify in strong support of this bill on behalf, again, for Hawaii Food Plus Policy. And I'll briefly highlight why this bill matters. Hawaii's armors are aging. Our food system is shrinking, and we still import most of the food that we eat. At the same time, many young people want to work in agriculture but do not see a clear pathway. SB 2320 helps us to close this gap. This bill brings high-demand skills like GIS, drone technology, climate-smart farming, and agricultural data into high school and UH programs. It creates real internships and dual-credit pathways that connect students directly to farms and local businesses with regional ag tech hubs tailored to each county. This bill would support workforce development, food security, and prep the next generation to steward the Aina with both cultural knowledge and modern technology. Therefore, Hawaii Food Plus Policy respectfully urges your support for SB 2320.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Chair, Vice Chair, thank you for the opportunity. Sorry that our testimony was a little bit late, but it has been submitted and received.
Thank you.
I just wanted to
Identify yourself first.
Parvinder Grewal, Dean of CETAR.
Thank you.
I wanted to just highlight a few items that we really appreciate this type of approach where all these agencies come together to develop a program like this. And we have been working closely with DOE, and last year we launched a Summer Research Institute. It's a program that engages high school students and undergraduate students in research with their faculty. And this year, this program will be expanded to all islands where CETAR has the stations. And another effort we have is we are developing a 3-year accelerated undergraduate program that will engage all students in actual work, and then all the education would be online so that the students can have access to CETAR education on all the islands. So we actually very supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Please.
Angela Melody Young, CARES. I'm in strong support of the agriculturally grown products, and then, of course, jobs and internships for the students with this program. One of my students from our church, we have a lot of farmland in Waianae and in Kapolei. So we did an agricultural contest, and my students won. It was from the Mayor's Office of Sustainability and Climate Change for inspiring the best design for the county's first Oahu food systems plan. So I think growing sustainable food, having farm-to-table, farm-to-school strategies is so inspiring and a valuable lesson to teach future keikis and ohanas. And so, students, when they learn about sustainable land practices, they can be the future policymakers for the state of Hawaii and provide advice also for these efforts. So I'm a fan. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Hearing none, members, any questions?
I got a question.
Okay.
UH.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dean. So wouldn't this program fall within the purview of College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resilience for CTAR?
It absolutely can. And we already do quite a bit in this, and we want to do more. Last year, we had a number of meetings with Department of Education to more collaboratively launch these opportunities so that they can support the high school students to engage and financially as well. Because from other islands, if the opportunity is on a certain place, they need to actually access it in some way.
So you guys can already do this already?
Portions of it. It's not a big effort, but we are trying to do our part.
So doesn't Wahiawa does something like this already as part of one of the DOE schools?
I am not. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
that part.
Okay. Thank you.
Follow-up question. So you collaborated with DOE in what form and with whom?
I have meetings with the superintendent and his staff.
Okay.
And there is a person there, workforce development as well. Okay. Worked with them. Last year, we were starting our new program for the high school students. That time, everything was not, time was not enough. But we still launched the program and engaged many high school students on this island.
Oh, so the different high schools participate, the schools or the students, how does that work?
Pardon?
How does that work, the students that are participating?
Yeah, students engage with their faculty in independent research projects. Okay. And 2 students per faculty member, and they work entire summer, 2 months, for about 25 hours per.
And how many students? You said 10?
We had 32 students.
32 students.
A majority of the students were local high schools from any school that they could come to at Manoa.
So with this pathways, do you folks go to trips to Korea to see how they're doing their agriculture?
Oh, absolutely. If there are opportunities, funding is mostly limited. That's the only issue. All this work that we have done so far, all our internal money moving around, and we actually pay the faculty money for the project.
Okay,
we don't
so
pay faculty salary, but it is to support the project.
So you've sent faculty to Korea to?
No, I haven't sent them.
Okay, so you've not done any faculty or any students to Korea?
Yeah, our faculty might have their own programs, engagement with other researchers, different places, but this is not a formal arrangement that I have made or we have made.
I'm just asking that because I know DOE has sent many.
No, we are not engaged in
faculty to Korea for a number of years. Okay, thank you.
Chair, I got a follow-up question.
Yes.
Can you tell me what is climate smart farming? What is that?
Which is taking more resilient approaches. What that means is that you are applying sustainable approach. That is varieties that can be more resistant to variations in climate, that way they can withstand. And you also apply cultural practices that can help reduce stress on the plant so that it can still be productive when the variations occur.
So if I was growing one tomato in probably Waianae, help me understand climate change and cultural smart farming.
Yeah. I wouldn't know where this location is, yet I'm
West
still
side.
trying to learn.
West side, hot.
The dry
Yeah,
environment.
dry, you
Correct.
know, I'm trying to like,
Yeah,
trying to
so-
like grasp this right now.
Backyard.
Right, so in those situations, you want to preserve whatever moisture that you have.
There's no moisture in that area.
Correct, so then you have to irrigate, but even in those conditions, if the temperature is so high, then the plant might still wither. So then you create conditions of partial shade, enclosed environment, and yes, you have to water plants gone to without water.
Water that they no more. Okay,
Correct,
thank you.
exactly.
Yeah, just curious. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any other questions, members? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Hang on, Chair.
Oh,
Quick question, Dean. Appropriations is blank here. Do you have the funding, or what kind of funding are we looking at to get this done?
So I am not aware of how much funding, who has requested. I'm here because I'm interested in this workforce development. It's not, it's not our bill.
Okay.
But I'm supportive because whatever we can do, it's our Kuleana to do whatever we can do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So Chair, you have a number in mind? No. No? Okay. Okay, we are in decision-making. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You can
first?
Yeah.
Okay, in decision-making on the first item, SB 2706, establishing a 5-year ag and biosecurity workforce development within DAB. The recommendation will be to pass pass with technical amendments, including deferring the date until July 1st, 2050. For AEN discussion, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
On Senate Bill 2706, passing with amendments, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoite?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes?
Aye.
Senator Awa is excused. Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you, members.
Thank you. For the Committee on Education, same recommendation to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 2706, Chair's recommendations passed with amendment. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair is excused. Senator Fukunaga is excused. I vote aye. Senator DeCourt?
Aye.
Chair recommendations adopted.
Thank you. And for Senate Bill 2320, recommendation is to do a Senate Draft 1 with technical and non-substantive amendments. The appropriation is blank on page 5 already, and we will defect the date to July 1, 2050. Any discussion? Hearing none, Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 2320, Chair's recommendations passed with amendments. Chair votes aye, noting the excuse of Senator Kidani and Fukunaga. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? Without others voting aye, recommendations adopted.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Senate Bill 2320, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair will vote aye. Senator DeCoite?
Aye.
Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Awa is excused, motion is adopted.
Okay, and that adjourns the